Do you ever feel a bit off, but can't really explain why? Nothing's obviously wrong, but something just doesn't feel right. I think sometimes we assume that there's something wrong with us, when really we might just be out of alignment. So that's what we're talking about today. Feeling misaligned and how to bring ourselves back to ourselves. I think it's important, and I just want to point this out, that feeling off isn't failure, okay? And we fail around here, yeah? We grow around here, yeah? We evolve, we learn. There's nothing wrong with failure, but feeling off isn't failure, okay? And feeling off can look like, or can feel like, lack of motivation or low energy or even confusion. When we have those feelings, or if those feelings show up, then it doesn't always mean that something is wrong, but it might mean that something is misaligned. So, what do we do about that? How do we get out of it? How do we realign ourselves? I think the first thing to understand is that when we do feel misaligned, it comes from what you're allowing. Okay, so where are you spending your time? Are you spending too much time in the wrong environments, or in environments that don't serve you or don't uplift you? Whether that be social environments or work environments. What is the environment that you're surrounding yourself in? How is that making you feel? Sometimes we don't block out the noise and we let too much noise in. And that could be listening to too many opinions, other people's opinions. Again, what we absorb is our diet, right? So we could be seeking validation or not being mindful of how we're spending our currency. It could also come from a lack of boundaries, or no boundaries. Not having strong boundaries in place that protect you and that teach other people how to show up for you. And that can often lead to feeling drained or, low vibrational. So sometimes it's not you. Sometimes it's just what you're surrounding yourself with that causes that internal friction. So what can we do to align ourselves? What can we do to bring ourselves back? And I always say, start with the basics. Go back to basics. Because the basics are your foundation, right? So small shifts bring you back. And, that could look like creating space for yourself. Are you neglecting your own needs? Have you created some intentional time for yourself, some reflection time for yourself, where you're able to dig a little bit deeper and ask yourself the questions and see what comes up? But ultimately, small changes will make big impacts. So it's the small things that you do that will bring you back to yourself. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because again, it's not about changing everything, right? It's just about paying attention to what feels right. And then actioning that, doing the things that bring that feeling of, I feel aligned again. I feel like I'm back. But again, it's small changes, right? It's just the things that you do, the small things that you do daily. But go and check out my previous videos. You know, I have full breakdowns on these topics. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper, then go and check those out. But yeah, I think it's really important to speak about because we don't always feel aligned, and that's okay. You know, we are human. We're allowed to have our highs and our lows. We're allowed to have down days, you know. You're allowed to feel misaligned, out of alignment. But what are the things that you're going to do for yourself to bring you back in a space of being centered, of being aligned? So yeah, if you are feeling a bit low vibrational, or you know, a bit confused, or that you're lacking motivation, then please give yourself grace, because you deserve it. You know, don't be too hard on yourself. Be kind to your mind. But again, just create some space for yourself and ask yourself, what is it that feels off? You know, dig a little bit deeper, because the answers are all within, and you will figure it out. But yeah, I'm going to plant my little seed. So yeah, just something to think about, right? Maybe that off feeling isn't something to ignore. It's something to listen to. We're so quick to distract ourselves from that feeling. But what if it's actually trying to guide you? Let it sink in. Let it marinate. There we go. I'm going to continue to water the seed, so don't worry about it. But think about it, for real. It's worth thinking about. But yeah, challenge yourself this week, yeah? I urge you, trust me, take a moment this week and ask yourself what actually feels right. See what comes up. Let me know in the comments. But amigos, that is it from me today. Thank you so much if you have watched this video. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, because you know it really helps your girl out. And also on that note, thank you to my 50 subscribers. I've hit like my first little milestone. So yes, thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. Like, we are locked in. But yes, amigos, have an amazing week. Good vibes are on the way from me to you. And I'll see you next week. Bye.